Laura, inflation has passed its peak, so why did the RBA lift rates again?
Well, they got nervous, Sarah. There have been a few bad indicators. We've seen a resurgence in the real estate market, for example. The CPI jumped from 6.3 to 6.8%, and we've still got this very tight labour market. Now, there's obviously a brawl about last week's minimum wage case, but even before you get to that, you've got a very tight labour market. Wages are going up there. The public service sector wages are going up. All these pressures have changed the Governor's view and the Reserve Bank Board's view that basically the sort of inflation expectations were set. And what Phil Lowe said today was that they wanted to give people more confidence that we would actually reach that lower inflation target. Now,
the Chamber of Commerce was quick to blame today's increase, on that decision you referred to lift the wages of some of Australia's lowest paid workers. What did Phil Lowe have to say about wages and its role in the decision?
Well, he has said that the wage rises are in line with the inflation target as long as productivity lifts. Now, the problem is it's not lifting. But once again, I think the issue here is that it's not been the minimum wage rates until now that have pushed this issue the way it has been. It's been prices, it's been energy prices. There's a lot of reference to services inflation. Now, when you actually work out what that's language for, what it is about the health sector, out of pocket costs in the health sector, which once again reflects the tight labour market. Those costs are going up. So what the Governor has said is, look, we're worried about unit labour costs, as they're called, and we're worried about where they're going, but he's not actually blamed last week's decision. But obviously it starts to change the pendulum of both the policy push and pulls and of the politics from the argument that it's been prices pushing inflation to one where people will say, well, wages are now doing it, that and federal government, you've been encouraging it.
Now, and in terms of that's just staying with the politics for a minute, obviously for quite a long time people were tolerant of the external forces working on the economy. They seem to be accepting that argument that this was something that was global in effect and to a large degree outside of the government's control. When do the politics shift and people stop giving the government the benefit of the doubt for those international pressures?
Well, I think it's now really teetering a little bit on the scales, Sarah. I mean, there are a few things. The real pressures on inflation, things like energy prices, things like rent, they are sort of either outside the government's control or the government has said it will do something about it. Now, I think obviously on rents, that's a really tricky one because of the standoff in the Senate about housing policy. But the government says, look, we're doing something about out-of-pocket health costs, we're doing something about energy costs, so they've got a bit of an alibi. But it's more that sort of shift in argument about where the economy is going. They don't have a strong enough case about what they are doing about productivity, though they've got some measures in place. And this is all fine, except, of course, this decision was made despite the fact that we've got weak retail figures, we've got weak construction figures, and the economy is actually slowing.
Actually, Phil Lowe was talking about productivity in Senate estimates when he was there, recommending that people read the Productivity Commission's reports. What happens to this debate? We keep coming back to the question, but where are the politics of productivity? Is it going to be one of the big topics for the second half of this year?
Well, is it a barbecue stopper, Sarah? I'm not sure that it is.
Someone mark the time code. Yeah. We'll come back to that. But
I'm not sure that it's a barbecue stopper, but I think the economy stopping is really a barbecue stopper. So I think that whole question of what the government does about reform is a really crucial one, and about productivity. The question is, does the coalition have enough ammunition to push them on this? And I don't think they have a good enough alibi, if you like, about their own productivity record, and it's become a really complicated question. So it's hard to work out whether it'll be productivity or the fact the economy is starting to look like we're going into recession that'll be the government's biggest problem.
Thank you very much, Laura. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Sarah.